for years. I want to share something else. These are masks my mother have on her wall. The significance of these masks here, when you see them, I want to just say this has nothing to do with Phantom of the Opera. My mother created these when she came under a vision and being able to build a play for children who's going to Sunday school. And the mask represents, in the play, everyone wearing masks because it shows that God does not judge on our face and what we look like. He judges on the heart. So they dance out the song that is a gospel song or, an inspirational song. And they do that in the motions of expressing God's love without their faces being seen. And she developed that. And these been hanging here for years now. That's been 5 years ago she came up with that development. I want to mention here too, this picture at the top. My brother Eddie, he has one of his best friends he grew up with. He drew that picture, and the thing about that is because he's someone who, if you looked at, you never judge a person on the outside. You wouldn't think and see this gift. This picture has been hanging here since my brother's best friend gave it to my mother. And I know my brother Eddie knows the story behind that, how long. I don't remember how long. My mother telling me how long. I know it's been there at least 15, 20 years. Now, we're going to go to her closet because I want to show out this too, of the style of this woman and who she is. These are her hats here. This is her closet. Like I said, I'm in her home. None of her things have been touched. I have about 16 days to get everything out, and you best believe I will. But someone in a home for 33 years, I want to know everything. I want it to be on tape and on film who this woman was, that I don't even have to go and think too hard in my memory. I can pull up a tape that I have the proof in front of me and the evidence. Whenever I forget anything of just the spectacular presence that she gave in so many ways. Now, this is fashion. And I'm going to tell you, I was not a woman into even hats and wearing up hats. But she have some very nice hats. This woman was a dresser, you know. These are her hats here. These are beautiful hats. Some of these she even created. And her mother was one who worked very well with her hands. She could make anything with her hands, any clothes. My mother told me a story, I'm in a room now, where as you see curtains like this on drapes, my grandmother, years ago in her home, my grandmother had actually took down her drapes and had my mother stand in front of her, and she measured her. And then my mother said a week later, my grandmother had built her an outfit from the drapes that she had took from her wall, washed them, everything, and made her an outfit. So, just a few last pictures here. So that's my mother and my sister, my mother's sister, and a grandmama Mary who raised my mother and her sister. And that's my grandmother and my mother. My grandmother's husband, they both passed on now, as well as my mother now. My mother is the last generation from her mother, as I said before. And this is my auntie. When they were young, this age, my grandmother used to live in Florida, and she would send tickets for the both of them to come visit her in Florida. The little boy in the picture, my uncle now, he's grown. He was visiting then. My mother was primarily raised next to her sister. It was them two, my grandfather raised. Is my grandfather. But then, you know, he was always in, as you see, his son's life. until literally they later on he moved into. And my granddad got his son and raised him. Now real quick, I want to just show what God revealed to me too. That these things are prevalent to know into the mind of this woman. This is a book that she had built up when I left to go to Arizona 2002. Excuse me here. My mother, she started her own you know, like we all do, like a little scrapbook. Hobbies we pick up along the way, you know. This is my mother's scrapbook. I remember her showing the scrapbook to me because we were doing the same thing. My mother and I are very much involved into the world, into what's going on in the world, because if you want to help and you want to be a part and being a positive influence, you have to know what's going on in life so that you know where to help. You know where help is needed. And we all have something in us that is aimed towards a certain part, an area in this world that is troubling, or it's broken, that needs fixing, that we have the equipment to help fix. These are my mother's right here. Now, as you see in my mother's heart, I'm going to make a mention about this too. A lot of things too where my mother was showing out what she had endured through, going through a state where it was segregation. Now, just give me a pause for a minute. I want to just make a point. I have to bring the picture here to show you. Now, this is my mother's obituary. This man right here, this is in this yard at the home that I'm at, is my mother's dad. He is half, his dad is Irish, and my great-grandmother, she is Native American. And this picture of them when they were little. Now, my mother had a situation that happened when she was young, and my grandfather, and it's my mother here. That's my auntie on this side. Excuse me. It's hard holding this phone up here. I want to have to make a mention to say that they hung out together, my mother and my grandfather, and they were extremely close. My auntie was indoors in the house, and my mother liked to do the building and helping out, so they became very close. And there's an occasion of what happened when my grandfather got off of work. He would take my mother out to go to the ice cream shop after she finished her chores. That was like her treat. And they went to an ice cream shop one day, and when they were in the ice cream shop, my grandfather went up to go order the ice cream for the both of them. And after he ordered it, my mom went to sit down at the booth next to her dad. And the gentleman had said, "Colored girl, can you read? This is whites only." And my granddad, he made some comment to him. My mother said she remembered that vaguely. And he got up and he grabbed my mother by the arm, by the hand, and walked out the store. So that showed her a lot, that this man loved her. So all she knew is love don't see color. So that helped be the building blocks in her. State may apologize for slavery. I pulled this out because my mother was a nurse, like I said, and she spent 30 years in nursing. And in my mother's nursing career, there's a lot of beautiful people that she met that fell in love with my mother, that she fell in love with, that she was caring for every day. You know, and my mother have an assignment. You get close to a person, her assignment could last just maybe a few months, and you become attached. This young lady right here, my mother cared for. My mother told me the story about they became so close that this woman, from what my mother told me, she's very old world, you know, and hold on to a lot of old traditions that is so very just precious, just so priceless. And mother tells me the story about how when she wanted my mother to stay longer, she would always give her $5. And it was the cutest thing because they knew it wasn't about the money. But that was her way of saying, I just want you to spend a little bit more time with me. I know it's not the money. Because this woman hadn't, it was just, that was their little thing. So my mother would just say, okay, and just take it. My mother knew they were going to talk. The stories that this woman shared about her life, her family, her husband, her children. I remember my mother telling me. When she passed, my mother cut out her obituary. And the last $5 that this woman gave my mother, she put it in this book and she taped it to the side of it. These is what my mother have cut out of magazines, and she posted it in here. Excuse me, down here. And it says, first reaction, how to win eternity. This is priceless to me. She put in here, take nothing for granted. He's got power. Turning my face to God. Pray for wisdom, change, and grow. Opening our eyes to small gifts. God's power to transform. Wholehearted prayer. A transforming power. Our God as protector. Draw me closer to you, acting wisely. What to know, head to toe, starts here. And my mother built this, put this in here. So just little things I just wanted to show out of what was in her mind and who she is. Okay. Now, been said, I want to make a mention. You see here on her nightstand, I've been in the room, so but she has a Bible that sits by her nightstand. And I laid her pictures around there for me. Here, do this. But she has another Bible. Here. So those are things I wanted to make a point in her room. Just a little small, if people saw small little trinkets of just things of hers. That matters a great deal. Because now it's time to say goodbye and to close this door in this chapter in this woman's life. That's why it's a blessed thing for me to be here, for me to be the one that actually God has given so much great honor to and moving any of her items because of the love of this woman and who she is. Even this right here, I'm going to say this is a picture of me in my first apartment. That was when I was 18 years old. That's over 20 something years ago. She kept it here right by the clock. So for me, these are things too I had to show and point out too that makes a woman great. Actually, I did want to make mention of I'm aware because before I move this, I gotta say it before I even touch it. It was just piano too, that my mother came with her first